Hello and welcome back, listeners, to an inspiring conversation on mind over matter with your host, Sana. Today, in this episode, we are diving deep into a topic that is so common yet often overlooked, especially for many high achievers breaking free from success stress. What are exactly the hidden mental challenges, health challenges of high achievers? And to help us with this conversation is the incredible Dr. Daniel Zeiss, a transformation expert and personal growth pioneer. Listeners, Dr. Zeiss has a remarkable gift for helping high performing professionals navigate the often overlooked mental health struggles that definitely come with the external struggles or success. As the founder of Peak Growth Center in Orlando, Florida, he combines his medical expertise, psychotherapy background, and cutting edge coaching techniques to guide clients towards more authentic, purpose driven lives. So, if you have ever felt the weight of success or wondered if there's more to life than just climbing the next rung of the corporate ladder, this episode is for you. So let's jump right in and discover how to transform stress into sustainable growth and fulfillment. So, Dr. Daniel, welcome to the show. And as always, it's an absolute honor having you with us today.
Uh, Thank you very, very much for that beautiful introduction. It's an honor as well for me to be on your show, and I'm so lucky that I can talk about a topic which I'm really passionate about. And actually, this is let's start with an end at the beginning. This would be the perfect situation for somebody who wants to climb the corporate ladder to be passionate. But there's a you call it success stress, and actually that is very often confused with passion. Okay, because both is like something which makes us move faster, which makes us jump out of bed in the morning. Just if it's success stress, you will eventually notice that it fades. You might notice that I do have to do another meeting with that client, or I have to do another meeting with that colleague. And some step by step you notice, and you put it beautifully, a weight on your shoulders, a weight in your chest, something that weighs you down. But because there's something else, you're just pushing through. And this is actually what most of my clients describe, the way of how they feel. They have an inner small person telling them, you have to do it. Okay, I'm not talking about voices or something like in mental diseases or mental illnesses. That's too much. It's just an inner knowing, a motivator who will tell you, okay, though you don't feel well, but you want to achieve that. You want to get to that next title. You want to get to that next client, and so you're just pushing through from 9 to midnight, 9 a.m. to midnight, just to get there, and that is stressful for you and your body.
Mm. No, I totally agree with you. And I believe this is a perfect start to this insightful conversation, Dr. Daniel. And, to begin with, as you mentioned, many high achievers, they seem to have it all on the surface level, careers, accolades, um, and, influence in some way or the other. But still, why? Why do so many still struggle with that hidden stress and mental health challenges? And most of the times I'm very sure they don't even realize it. So why does it happen and how they can realize it?
Well, the realization is pretty easy. If you don't feel well, if you feel heavy, if you feel this weight, then you have success stress. Okay? Sometimes it's okay. And we used to call it in older times, we called it eustress or eustress and distress, bad stress, and we don't do that anymore. There is a certain amount of stress which is okay. So if we would just sit on the sofa and do nothing, that would be also bore out stress basically for your body. So you have to move, you have to be active to have your body that's how your body and your mind is built for, to move and to do something. But if it's too much, then you get this, at the end, overwhelming feeling, burnout and depression. And before, at the beginning, it's just like this heavy breathing, this heaviness in your body.
Mm.
Why is a little bit more complicated, because for everybody there's motivation, the motivation to do something. And the question is, what are the motivators for you? Of course, we eat, we drink, we wear clothes, and we have a bed to sleep, because these are our basic physical needs. But then, if we have all of these basic physical needs covered, then there are emotional needs. And the first emotional need is connection. So we need to have a feeling of being part of a group. And there are, at least, depending on who you ask, but I like the 5 emotional needs idea or model, because you have 5 fingers at the right and on the right hand, right? So that's easy to remember. And the first emotional need, connection, is actually the one that for many, many high achievers is the one that creates success stress. You need to know, when you have basic needs and you don't fulfill them, it feels really crappy. So imagine not eating, starving. Doesn't feel right, right? Just like having like 12 hours, nothing to eat, you already feel your stomach and then there's this word hangry. Perhaps you've heard that. That's, some people get not hungry, but they get angry when they're hungry, so they're hangry. And that is a very good description of what happens when you don't fulfill your needs, if you don't fulfill even your basic needs, like food. On physical, now on the emotional side, there is connection. And whatever happened in your childhood, the first years, it's really important. That's basically where you are primed, where we think, where psychology thinks that you have been primed. And if for some reason, might be really strong reasons, because your parents had some issues themselves, even some psychological diseases, or you just had bad luck with a bad teacher or whatever happened, you're not 100% sure of connection. You're trying to compensate for it. So you're trying to, with your action, create connection. And if you learned in school that you get good grades, you get A's when you excel, when you work harder, and then you get the recognition of your teacher and of your classmates, then very quickly a pattern, or we call it a schema, is formed that you say, okay, in order to have my basic need of connection fulfilled, I need to work hard.
Right.
And that's what you do then. You work hard.
Also, your approach integrates medical psychotherapy and personal growth strategies. So, how does this unique combination help clients break free from burnout and seek balance?
Mm-hmm. That's a beautiful question. Thank you very much. And I'm just picking up where I left off. So when you have that basic need of connection not met, and you have created that inner scheme of working harder to receive connection, to receive appreciation from your boss, from your surroundings, then this works fine. But eventually you will burn out, because this is not the way to fulfill connection. And this is exactly where you need to understand psychology, where you need to understand psychotherapy, because that's one of the big parts where we get our ideas or research or new insights from, and of course coaching. So you need to understand how people actually work in the workplace, so that you can combine these 3 parts and create a program for every person, individualized and right to that person, and not just some random program that somebody wrote in a book, but to see, okay, this person reacts when this keyword is sad. And this trigger word. And then this person, the inner program starts of, I need connection. I need the feeling of connection. And therefore I work harder. And when we sit down with our clients, we let them talk. We let them explain what's happening in their world, how they see their world. And for me, it's a beautiful thing if somebody lets me in on their world and shares their ideas of what it means when they signed a contract, of what it means when they found a new direct, what that means when they merged that company. Everybody is different. Everybody has a very valid personal view, but sometimes the strategies that we learned through life helped in the past, but are not helping today. And because they're not helping, basically we get into this stress mode more and more, wanting to achieve something, but what we really want to achieve is not necessarily this success on the paper, the another million on the bank account, but what we just want is connection, the feeling of being connected, the feeling of being appreciated by our peers. And there are some tweaks, some techniques we can use to reduce the need for this, and to actually change the strategies.
Makes sense. Also, there's some belief that success stress is just the price you pay for greatness. So, do you think high achievers should embrace stress as a motivator, or is it possible to excel without the pressure?
Yeah, see, that is the thing when there's part of the understanding is not there. Stress always says that there is more demand than there are resources. Okay, so the body comes into a stress mode when it needs to do more than it is actually able to do at the moment. And yes, sometimes that might be necessary. If a lion chases you, of course it's necessary for survival that you, in that moment, do more with your body than you're trained to do, because then you can survive. So in this part, stress is necessary for survival. But if you think about going to work, and if you start after college studying to work for 30 or 40 years, and you want to be chased 40 years by a lion, well, if you survive that, this being 40 years chased by a lion, obviously your body is worn out because it was more than it was designed to do. It did more than it was designed to do. And so that's when passion comes in. There is something that drives you, which is not stressful when it's your passion. And then basically you don't have success stress, but you have the passion of loving what you do, and you just do it, and you get into a peak state of consciousness, into a peak state of flow, and things just work out. Things just happen the way you think you like it, and other people like it. And for example, for fulfilling this first emotional need of connection, this fits simply great. Okay. And so I don't think that success stress should be the motivator. I think there should be phases of stress. That's normal in every project and every life. There are moments and might be even months where you have to work very hard, but that the lasting, the very, very helpful way of even achieving more than you could achieve with stress is if you really find the passion. And the passion can be found if we find the factors that cause you stress, if we work on them, mostly resolve them, that you get a clear view. It's like a little bit like these windshields in winter. When they all freeze over, you can't really see where to go. But if you start scratching a little bit the ice, and then you see, and you see a little bit more, and with every session, with every day, you see a little bit more, and then you can find that passion and your why on why you do something, and it's much nicer, because then your body is not running in that red zone, and that momentum where there's more demand than supply, or more resources available, and you just run because it feels cool and it's what you want to do.
Yeah, true. And also, in a world that glorifies hustle culture, how can leaders and organizations create that environment, which supports authentic success and mental well-being at the same time?
Wow, yeah, that's a very tough question, and that's basically when cultures clash. What I'm proposing now is a culture of doing what you really love to do, and then there's, in many corporations, there's what you have to do. I think with a change in generations now, with the Gen Z generation coming into the workforce, we will see changes to that corporate culture, of that hustle culture. But now, to be very practical, so when you are a manager and you understand now, hey, it's much better if I have my team work in a passionate, in an empathic environment where they still achieve efficiency, where they still achieve our our key performance indicators are still achieved, but it's just a different way of doing it. Just talk to your boss and get get confirmation from your superior, and don't tell them how you want to do it. Just tell them what they really want to need, what they need to know. So when they are measured by some sort of performance indicators, ask him, look, is it important to you that we achieve these indicators, or is it important to you that we achieve them in a certain way? If the boss says it's important for a certain way, of course you can change your culture of your team. But when the boss says, I don't really care how you do it, it's important that you do it. Well, basically, and then you just the second question is, are you going to support me even though I'm doing something which will even give us the potential of excelling, of being better than we are at the moment? And if he says then yes, then you have his or her back, and then you do it. And then you start looking at your team, and you try to understand what is really in them, what makes them, what's their passion, what makes them wake up in the morning, and would make them go to work in a very, very passionate way. And it's difficult to find, and you need a number of conversations, and perhaps you need some coaching on how to do it, but you will get a different outlook on your team, much different.
Mm. Well, that's a really very detailed assessment, great answer to this question. Also, for the high achieving listeners who are listening to this episode today, what practical first step you advise they can take to prioritize their mental health without feeling the guilt that they are sacrificing success?
Okay, that's a wonderful question. And there's a duality in it. Why is it a contradiction to have the same own mental personality health and no success? I think it's the opposite, because everything we do starts with a thought in your head. So when your head is really clean, really light, really in a peak state, basically, these thoughts come easily, and then your behavior also comes easily, and your work starts to become more easy. Remember what Mary Poppins said about, and I like to quote that so much, that there's fun in every task that must be done. And if you find that fun, then the task becomes a game. And actually, that is something, if you want just a small change, just look at exactly this. Try to see the fun. Try to see if in business you don't talk fun, perhaps you try to see the why, the sense of it. And if that sense aligns with your values, your inner values, then it becomes a game. And then this task might get much easier. So that's gives you work output, that gives you results without the hustling.
Great, great, Dr. Daniel. So thank you so much for this eye-opening, illuminating conversation. And if our listeners they would like to explore more about how to overcome the success stress, with your guidance, with your insights, how they can do that.
Well, the easiest thing is please visit our website at peakgrowth.center. Click on the Contact Us button. Just write in your personal info, your name, your email address, and what's happening right now in your life, and we'll get back to you. We'll talk on the phone, and then we'll see how we can support and transform your life.
Great, great. We'll have the links in the show notes. And thank you so much, Dr. Daniel, for showing how success doesn't have to come at the expense of mental health. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sana, for having me. Thank you.
So, listeners, whether you are at the peak of your career or climbing your way up there, remember that fulfillment and well being aren't just luxuries, they are essential, bare minimum essential for you. So, if you are ready to take the next step toward authentic success and personal growth, you can learn more about Dr. Zeiss's transformative work at Peak Growth Center in Orlando. Refer to the show notes along with this episode, and don't forget to share your thoughts with us on social media. You can follow us on Instagram at mindfulliving.bizblend and tag us in your reflections. And as always, thank you for tuning into Mind Over Matter with your host, Sana. Until next time, keep your mind strong and your heart open. Thank you.